to the Elliott Museum in Stuart, Florida. My name is John Giltinan. I am the curator for the Antique Vehicle Collection. Today we're going to talk about one of the most popular cars in the museum's collection. It's a 1957 Chevrolet Bel Air convertible. This is one of the most iconic cars in the world, really. When people think of the 1950s and post-war prosperity, they think about 1957 Chevrolets. To give you a little background on how these cars came to be, General Motors engineers started working during World War II on a family of high compression, high power overhead valve V8 engines. The first ones were introduced in 1949 on the Cadillac and the Oldsmobile, and they caused a sensation. In 1953, Buick got a new overhead valve engine, but Chevrolet and Pontiac had to wait until 1955. They introduced their new engines along with completely new cars. And the combination of the styling and the power from that new engine just set the low price field on its ear. The original 1955 body was restyled in 1956 and again in 1957 to create this car. They wanted to emphasize the length and the width and the height of the car, and they did that by adding these eyebrows on the headlights. They created a dip in the car's belt line to make it appear lower, and then they brought it back with this nice long fin and this beautiful aluminum insert on the side of the car, which draws your eye back and makes the car look longer. Only the top of the line Bel Air received that insert, that aluminum insert on the side. The Bel Air was also treated to gold-colored chevrons on the fender, a gold insert on the grille, and gold Chevrolet nameplate along with a gold V, which indicated that the car had a V8 engine in it. These bumper bombs were very popular during the 50s, especially on Cadillacs. This car was called a baby Cadillac because it emulated a lot of the styling features of the mid-50s Cadillacs. It brought a new level of style and innovation to the low price field. Suddenly people could buy a Chevrolet that had the power, the performance, the comfort of much more expensive cars. One of the features I love are these rocket bomb sights on the hood. The car's just loaded with features like this. It has spinner wheel covers and, of course, the wide white wall tires that were popular at that time. It also has a wraparound windshield, which was all the rage. General Motors introduced the wraparound windshield on the 1953 Cadillac Eldorado, and then everyone had to have one. They're great for visibility, but in many cases the dog leg from the windshield will catch your knee when you get in the car and you bang your knee on it. So they had their time, but by about 1960 they were history. An interesting feature on these cars are these air intakes, which are functional. They designed this so that the underdash vents in the passenger compartment are fed through these air intakes above the headlights, which I think is a very interesting feature. This car is equipped with a 283 cubic inch version of the new Chevrolet engine. It has a 4-barrel carburetor and dual exhaust. They called that the Power Pack option, and it made 220 horsepower. The car is backed up by a 2-speed Power Glide automatic transmission, and it has power steering and power brakes. When the car was restored, the power brakes were updated with a dual master cylinder, and they also put glass pack mufflers on the car to give it a little more of a rumble, a period hot rodding trick that was often done on these cars back in the day. They set the engine back in the engine compartment, which gave the car better weight distribution. They handled quite well, and these cars were very successful in NASCAR and drag racing for many, many years. These cars were remarkably roomy and comfortable. This, of course, is the high trim level Bel Air, so it gets the fanciest interior. Bel Airs use this unique sort of waffle patterned vinyl upholstery, which I've never seen on any other car. The dash panel was revised for 1957 with the instrument gauges directly in front of the driver. It has this wonderful chrome horn ring, which was a great feature. They discontinued these because when people would get into a emergency situation where they had to slam on the brakes and honk the horn, a lot of times they would push the horn ring so violently that it would break, and then they'd end up with a cut on their arm. So that's why cars no longer have these things, but they look fabulous. It has a nice, hard, shiny metal dashboard so that if you get in a collision, you wrap your head on it. Safety was not such a big issue then as it is today. This is an interesting feature. It looks like an underdash air conditioning unit, but it's really a tissue dispenser, and that was an option. The car has a 283 cubic inch V8 with a 4-barrel carburetor and a dual exhaust. It made 220 horsepower, which is more than adequate for today's driving conditions. These cars were designed to drive on the highway. You can take this car out and drive it on I-95 and keep up with modern traffic, which is a nice thing. It has power steering and power brakes. It's a large car, but it's not enormous. They're easy to maneuver, and really, if you drive it for a day or so, you could get very comfortable with it, and it could be driven on a daily basis if you wanted to. It's one reason why these, what they call Tri-5 Chevys, 55, 56, and 57, are so popular with collectors today. This is an interesting feature. They designed the ignition switch so that you can start the car with no key. Isn't that a great idea? That only lasted a few years, as you can imagine. Let's go for a little ride here. This is one of the most popular cars in the museum's collection because we use it quite a bit. We take it in parades. Our CEO drives it frequently when he has guests to go to lunch or if he has to go to meetings. It's a reliable car, and it's not a temperamental car. It never overheats or throws tantrums, so we like it very much. It's a car that really you could drive every day if you wanted to. It's not that large. It's easy to steer, it's easy to brake, and it drives pretty much like a modern car. In closing, I hope you enjoyed this little introduction to our 57 Bel Air. I would ask, please, that you keep us in mind. The pandemic has been just devastating to the Elliott Museum and all of the not-for-profits in Florida and really all over the country. If you like the museum and you support us, please consider renewing or updating your membership, and if you can afford to make a little contribution to us, it would be greatly appreciated. Thank you.